What do you think was that transition point where it allowed for more edge computing to sort of take place and I guess it essentially evolved? Because cloud was this standard of like, wow, why would I ever do localized?
Yeah, so what we betted on were a couple things. Number one, we took a bet that more and more devices were going to connect it to the network. Again, 2016, 17, there was a lot of consumer IoT going on. Your dishwasher suddenly was talking to you over the network, and your toothbrush and all of those. But the opportunity is going to be around industrial and enterprise. They're going to have machines connected to the network. They're going to have factories. They're going to connect their ships. Then you're going to need to figure out how to process data from these things. You got to figure out like how to make them smarter over time. And now we're seeing even AI able to build entire cloud applications.
So when you're implementing these agents, they're starting to make decisions. Where does security come into play? Is it a big concern?
It's going to be a big problem. I mean, I think there's different angles to security piece.
It's a really easy question. I think what we're talking about is what's at the very edge.
Hey there, I'm David Kozlowski, and you're watching the Edge Tech Podcast. Today, I'm sitting next to Said Ouissal, who is the CEO and founder of ZEDEDA. Thanks so much for joining us, Said, today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about cloud orchestration at the edge. Look, let's just get right into what's your background? Who is Said?
Great question. Yeah, so CEO and founder of ZEDEDA, started a company almost 10 years ago to focus on edge. But before that, been intrinsically involved with the internet and computers. I was on computers when I was 7 years old. That was my first computer experience. So really grew up in sort of the this whole digital world that now is so common. And professionally, when I decided to make my hobby my profession, really been focusing always on new technology. So I've been working product management roles and customer facing roles, always on the next big thing, whatever it was in those days when we went from dial-up to always on internet, when we went from mobile broadband, the clouds, and now we're focused on the edge.
How do you describe what your business does?
Great question. So when we started a company 10 years ago, we sort of saw two trends happening. One was that everybody was adopting cloud computing really fast. And one reason people were adopting cloud computing was obviously the availability of resources, the ability to rent them. You don't have to buy servers anymore. You could only pay for what you needed. But more interestingly, what we thought was really a big change was how applications were being built. If you think about pre-cloud, the way apps were built, and during the cloud, we had suddenly things like cloud native technologies, open source, containerization, things like CI/CD, software as a service. So, it really changed how we build applications to the point that me and my co-founders, when we looked at it, we said anybody building an application moving forward that's not going to run on a phone or a PC, they're going to be building in cloud native ways. So that was sort of one thing we saw happening. But we were a little bit contrarian in our view as well. We said, well, what if your app cannot run in the cloud for whatever reason, because it needs to run in a store or it needs to run in an oil and gas site because your connectivity is poor, or the amount of data that is you need to process can be uploaded to the cloud. Then what do you do? And that was really what, prompted us to, as I call it, start peeling this onion of, well, what happens when apps run outside of the cloud? How can you give customers the exact same experience? How do you solve with security? How do you deal with scaling? So at the end, we build an operating system and orchestration solution to make it as easy to deploy apps outside of the cloud as it is to do in the cloud.
Yeah, that's interesting. One of the things the rumor mill has told me was that when you guys originally started talking with Gartner, you had brought up this future state of edge virtualization, and Gartner was like, I'm hearing you, but I don't really know that I agree with you. And it changed. You fought against the norm of what Gartner was saying, which I think is pretty rare. I mean, can you unpack that story and kind of where you're at?
Well, first of all, I think when you do startup, you always have to have contrarian views. Like if you don't have an out of the box way of thinking of where the world's going to go, then maybe it's not really a startup idea in itself, right? Then obviously, will it succeed or not depends on a lot of factors. But I agree with you. Like in the early days, I mean, when we started a company, we didn't even know what to call ourselves. Are we, Cisco had a lot of things around fog computing. So are we a fog company? Are we an IoT company? Because a lot of what we do had to do with IoT and Internet of Things and devices running at the edge. We at the end settled for edge. We saw that sort of taking off in those days. But yeah, I think in the early days, people didn't really know what it was. And it took a little while. Having said that, and Gartner's been great, but what we spent a lot of time on was talking to potential customers and partners. The first few years, we didn't even build as much product. We were like spending a lot of time with the large industrial companies, the large energy companies, people that provide solutions in those verticals. And we started recognizing patterns. We started finding people that really, sort of resonated so well to our view of where the world was going to go. And those were the people that we built the company with.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I guess fighting against those challenges, like what sort of adversities do you feel like you had to face to be able to get into this space today? Or was it just, hey, this is what we need. You guys are the right company to move into?
Well, I mean, again, you got to put it back in the where the market was then. Every startup that was starting, every company that was doing anything was all about cloud. So when you are the company saying, "Well, we're going to do what comes after cloud," some people would say, "Well, so you're anti-cloud." We're like, no, we're not anti-cloud. As a matter of fact, we love cloud. We just don't think it can be in one location or a couple locations in the world. We think it's going to be anywhere where the network is. So those are sort of the things that you have to work through, because sometimes when people don't immediately understand what you do, they may try to, come to draw a conclusion that may not be necessarily accurately reflective of how you think about the market.
Yeah. What do you think was that transition point where it allowed for more edge computing to sort of take place and I guess it essentially evolved because cloud was this standard of like, wow, why would I ever do localized? Where do you think that transition happened?
Yeah, so what we betted on were a couple things. Number one, we took a bet that more and more devices were going to connect it to the network. And we said, like, we're moving in those days, again, 2016, 17, there was a lot of consumer IoT going on. Your dishwasher suddenly was talking to you over the network, and your toothbrush and all of those. But we said, okay, that's really interesting. But the opportunity is going to be around industrial and enterprise. They're going to have machines connected to the network. They're going to have factories. They're going to connect their stores. They're going to connect their ships, their vehicles, whatever. And as they get connected, then you're going to need to figure out how to process data from these things. You got to figure out like how to make them smarter over time. And that was the bet we took. And that really happened. Like during those years, we saw connectivity explode. We saw lots of devices come online. So that drove demand. The other bet we made was that the cost of compute would keep coming down, kind of the Moore's law principle, that the same amount of cost would give you double the compute every 1.5 to 2 years, which happened as well. If you kind of look right now, how much compute you can get for a certain dollar amount, it's incredible. So between those two, we said, okay, well, those are going to drive it. And then we said, everybody will learn how to build applications for the cloud. So it's actually, while maybe in the early days it was a little bit more specialized skill, we saw that more and more people learned how to do it. So therefore, more and more demand was there for these apps. And now we're seeing even AI able to build entire cloud applications. So we came a long way from where we were many years ago.
Yeah. Did you expect that AI would become a part of the conversation?
Yeah, we did. Because what we've been always very focused on enabling the processing of large amounts of data. Now, there's different kinds of data. There's nice structured data where it's very clear what the data is. So you really don't need as much AI for that. But in the edge, you also have a lot of unstructured data. Video feeds is a great example. It's very hard to look at a video feed for a computer program and understand what is going on. There's been a lot of work being done around video models. And so those are the type of the data unstructured data AI we always thought was the best solution. Even in the early days, we were talking about like more and more models were run at the edge. But what I see now happening in the market, and right now with also what's going on at NVIDIA, GTC, and others, we have reached a complete new level, I think, of capabilities and opportunity.
Yeah. What does that mean, I guess, for the future when we talk about those capabilities?
Yeah, well, I think a couple of things. I mean, as I said earlier, we started with a very application focus, like cloud native apps running outside of the cloud. I think applications are going to become agents. If you think about OpenClaw, NemoClaw. We first had humans build software, then we figured out how to have AI write software. Now the AI is becoming the software. And all you got to do is tell it what you want it to do and give it access to the data feeds, and then it should figure out a lot on its own. Now, having said that, we're still dealing with hallucinations. The AI is still maybe not like 100% accurate, but the level of accuracies we're already seeing being able to accomplish with some form of fine tuning and iterative effort, it's already getting there really quick. So in 12 to 24 months, I think any application that's going to be built is going to be basically an agent, not any more software written in code.
Yeah, when you mentioned hallucinating, another thing to touch on that you guys spoke about yesterday was around security.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're implementing these agents and they're starting to make decisions, where does security come into play? Is it a big concern for the future, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a big problem. I mean, I think there's different angles to the security piece. I think, first of all, a lot of people focus about all the bad things that can happen when AI can get hacked and do things and control things. That problem already exists today on software too. Like somebody could hack an application. This application is controlling a robot arm on a factory floor. It could do damage. So I think that problem you're going to have to solve no matter if you're running AI or an application. We've built a lot of capabilities in our product around monitoring these applications, making sure that they're doing the right things from a code execution point of view, and also if they're trying to access things over the network or things in the network accessing them, we can detect them, block them, and report them. But I think the new dimensions in AI are AI models are a representation of data. You use data to train a model. So that data is in many cases proprietary data. If you're a large enterprise, you're sitting on thrones of data you created or generated as part of your business. You use that to develop a model. That model can do things now better and smarter than before. You don't want your competition or somebody else stealing your model. So how do you secure a model, especially if it is running in an insecure environment, is a big, big problem for a lot of people. If you think about what NVIDIA and others are doing, they're putting something called confidential computing all the way into the GPUs, where the model's encrypted, it runs encrypted, the memory is encrypted, and it's physically nearly impossible to actually figure out what the original model looks like. So that's an example of what's going on. The other thing is when the model is intelligent, like an LLM, and that LLM can do things like it can act on actions or inputs, then how do you make sure that, first of all, it's not doing anything getting off track, the hallucination problem, but also how do you make sure nobody can prompt inject things into it so that you can have it do things that it wasn't supposed to do. So everything about how you program these models, how you set them up, will become really important from a security point of view.
Yeah. You said something that actually I hadn't thought about previously. Like, I think when we think of like hacking AI, it tends to be more around like the hurt perspective of like, my brain goes to like driverless car, somebody hacks it and we all crash. Or they, I think we've all seen a Netflix show where they clog up the freeway so you can't leave. And you talk about it in a way, it sounds like corporate espionage in a sense.
Yep.
Like, is this something that you think is going to become a huge issue when it comes to data?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not a new problem.
Yeah, right.
I think it's gotten a little bit worse now because we're not only seeing corporate, but we're dealing also on geopolitical level, where if you have access to AI and intelligence and smart models, that creates a competitive advantage for nations. So I think this problem got a lot bigger than it was before.
And by deploying the localized hardware at the edge and running them locally, is that a safer constraint than allowing it to only be in the cloud, or does it open up more?
It opens up a lot more. So I think number one, so first of all, when it runs in the cloud, you trust your cloud company. Like you trust that they have secure data centers, that nobody can get to these servers, that everybody that has access is vetted and all of those things. But overall, there's a component of trust that comes along with using a cloud company. Now, how much trust you have or not is a different question. But when you deploy edge compute and it's sitting on a cabinet on a side, in a street or in an oil and gas field or an unmanned site, then how do you deal with the physical security problems that come with it? How do you deal with somebody stealing that compute node, taking it back, opening it up, and trying to read out all the storage and find information, models, or other important information that can help you further devise an attack? So we had to deal with that from day one, which was kind of interesting. Again, when we think about being sort of contrarian, nobody steals servers from data centers. We had to deal with the fact that some people, our customers, their edge compute node could be stolen. And it happened actually to some of our customers. And the only way how you can do that is building security from the hardware root of trust up to protect it the same way our phones are protected today. When you forget one and somebody gets to it, it can get easily in your phone, even if they have physically possession of the device.
Yeah. So changing it up a little bit, yesterday you guys launched a brand new application, if I'm not mistaken. What was it called again?
The Edge Intelligence Platform.
That's right. Okay. So EIP.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just make the acronym for you.
EIP is the acronym.
Yeah. What's the future look like, I guess, with that? Why do it?
Yeah. Well, as I said earlier, we started with being able to orchestrate infrastructure for edge computing, applications on top, dealing with security, dealing with scale. What we noticed a few years ago is more and more of our customers started using us to deploy AI at the edge. And we didn't even realize that initially fully. We noticed some folks were deploying compute with multiple GPUs, which was kind of unique because normally there was only one GPU, if at all. And then we started asking these customers questions like, hey, why are you putting second GPU in there? And they're like, oh, we're running a whole AI inference workload. And we were like, really? Tell us more. And then we learned and understood that we had built the basic building blocks to make it super easy to do inference at the edge, to deploy these models. But having said that, as we start talking to these customers, the steps they had to do to go from, okay, here's a model that we have and how to get it to run on a compute node, were still many steps, many tools. So we said, well, how can we shrink that? How can we compact that and give customers a one-stop experience where You just tell us what the model is you want to deploy. Could be somewhere in Hugging Face. You tell us what compute it needs to run on in your edge. Could be 1,000 nodes, could be different hardware platforms, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, Intel. And then we will figure out everything else. We'll take that model, we'll package it up appropriately, we'll deploy it, we'll make sure it starts correctly, we'll tune it and optimize it if needed on the hardware. And then we will monitor the model performing and give you statistics and analytics if the model's performing to your requirements.
You guys are launching new applications and you're trying to keep up with this ever-changing world. And I guess as a founder, as AI keeps getting, I guess when you started, you thought that AI would be here, right? But we didn't, I don't know that we ever assumed that it would be where it is today. And yesterday was a really good tell on that, because there's an assumption like, hey, I think it was one of your panelists that said, I got a master's in AI and I never thought I'd see AI actually be implemented.
Yes.
So here we are in this like world, and we can only expect that AI is going to considerably increase this hockey stick effect that we're experiencing today. How do you have this crystal ball that you made to say, this is what I'm betting on? How do you do that now?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
a great
going to be
question.
changing every week.
It's changing very, very fast. I think, so I was really professionally brought up with this whole product management philosophy, right? So, and really early on learned that products are there to solve customer needs. They solve customer problems, right? That's why there's demand for your product. So I think to answer your question, what we try to do is really spend a lot of time with our customers, really understand the pains they have, the issues they're seeing. We try to understand their business, the changes that are happening in their business. And then we try to use the collective inputs we have to project where the market's going to go, what's the most likely, path it's going to take, what are the most likely features we're going to need. And then we go back and test them with these customers. Say, hey, we're thinking about building this. What do you think? And then some people say, well, I'm never going to need that. Some say, I need it today.
Yeah.
And that gives you more and more the inputs to hone in on the right things and then get them in people's hands, have them use it, and keep getting that feedback loop. That's super important to us.
You're in a situation where I'm assuming then your customers are early adopters. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And I mean, if that's the case, how are they implementing AI today into their edge computing, and what are some of the use cases, and where did they even see it going that you maybe aren't thinking of?
Yeah. Well, a couple of examples of use cases and with customers. One of our customers is Sonny's, probably not somebody everybody knows, but they build car washes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so they have about 10,000 car washes deployed in the US. These are conveyor belt car washes. And a car wash is pretty, you don't think about it a lot. You drive in, you pay, and it, hopefully your car comes clean out. But you think about the amount of mechanics is needed to clean your car, the amount of software that already today is needed to make sure that, when you're driving a pickup truck, it won't, your car won't get damaged. All of these things are built into this car wash. There's a lot of technology built in. And this customer, they now are going on this AI-enabled car wash where they're using AI to predict failures on all the motors and moving parts of the car wash, which allows them to sell a subscription package around service. So we'll come in and fix parts of the car wash before they break because we can predict and see the patterns that happen before they break. So predictive maintenance using AI. In the old days, they used to use sonar to map out the car and understand its dimensions. Well, sonar is not super accurate. If with a pickup truck, you have something sticking out, the sonar may not pick it up. You drive in, you damage the car wash or your car. Now they use vision, cameras. The camera can look at it. The camera can say, okay, here's the car. What model is it? What's the exact dimensions? And oh, wait, it does have something sticking out of the back, and we probably shouldn't let it go in until that gets resolved. It scans the license plate. So if you unroll your license plate to a loyalty program, it will find you and then immediately give you whatever free car washes you have. And they're even changing the experience where in the old days, you drive up and there's a screen, maybe a touch screen where you can kind of touch washes. It becoming an AI agent, and it will talk to you. It may not be able to answer the universe question, but it's smart enough to understand what wash you want and make sure that you have a great experience. All of that AI is running on a small edge compute node in each car wash, 10,000 of locations. So that's an example of edge compute.
It's funny to me because you're saying the olden days, and you're like, you're touching a screen, and I'm thinking, man, the olden days to me was when a person was saying, hey, what car wash do you want today?
Exactly.
Let's go ahead
Write it
and
down
go
on
inside
the paper and put it out.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we came a long way from that.
Yeah.
But that's just one example. But we're working with companies in the physical security space where there's many video feeds, like in an airport or a mall. Today, those video feeds get recorded. There's maybe in a control room people watching the different video screens. Now they're adding AI. AI can actually detect situations in the video feeds. It can detect if there is a situation that security should take a look at. It can detect if there's a child crying for a long time and looks abandoned or lost. So those are all things that a simple LLM today or video language action model can actually do. And it can really help. And so they're thinking about like, hey, how can we augment this into our security offerings, make it a safer world out there? And again, that's AI. It's going to have to run locally for the amount of data, but also for privacy reasons. We probably don't want all these video feeds to go recorded somewhere in the cloud. So those are all examples, again, of where edge AI is making a big impact.
Do you feel like, going back to the founder side of it, do you feel like there are organizations that are going to not progress at the speed that they should, and as a result, sort of put themselves out of business?
Yes. I mean, this is not different than any new big technology, regardless if it was the internet or the steam machine or whatever we've had in the past. I think enterprises and business will have to figure out how to use these technologies. The ones that do successfully will gain market share. They'll be very competitive. The ones that don't, they will see themselves being really struggling. I do think if you're an enterprise today and you're not already thinking about how to use AI across your business, you may be already late.
Yeah. And what's interesting is maybe this will also create an opportunity for net new companies to be able to, if you're not trying to put yourself out of business, somebody else is, and allow them to be able to grab some of that market share.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting time. You're so passionate about all of this. I mean, why?
Well, I think the way I always think about it, like as a product person, you have sort of this vision of where the world's going to be, how your products can make a difference in the world. And when you have that very clear in your mind, when you close your eyes, you can see that world where ZEDEDA is running everywhere and we're enabling all this autonomous capabilities, we're making the world a better place. How can you not be excited? So that's really what drives that future vision. And every day that passes that we make a small little step towards that vision, where we have customers now like Maersk running us on big ships in the middle of the ocean. We got customers like VW that are using us to service all their vehicles, or their customers' vehicles in dealers and service centers. If you have customers like SLB that are using us to explore energy and oil and gas and all of that, and how can you not be excited? It's just super, super nice, great time to be in this industry.
Yeah, it's the way that you describe it, just to give kudos, I can tell obviously walking through your offices, and thank you for letting us be here to do this, but the culture wise, it's definitely echoes that people do believe they're making the world a better place. So kudos to you guys for being able to embody that into your business. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, couple personal questions. We know that the cell phone is tied to us everywhere, but what is the one piece of technology outside of the cell phone that you're like, I have to have this
Today? Well, definitely my cloud subscription.
Okay.
I love it. Like, I mean, the amount of productivity you can get out of it. And, I am very curious. I always like to see, where does the technology break? How far can I push it? And like right now, regardless of your cloud or open AI, but if you just try these new AI agents, these co-work, these solutions, and how far they can get on their own and where we were 12 months ago, I think it's just incredible. So I think the cell phone is very important because that's the gateway to those services. But I think it's the AI is really, we're excited about, not only because we enable our customers to do AI at the edge, but I'm equally excited because it makes us so much more successful and productive ourselves.
How do you use it?
Everything. Just everything that it's a question and I don't know the answer, I just put it in, regardless if I have to upload some files or anything else. It's pretty cool. I was recently at a restaurant. We were some customers and we were joking, like, let's use Claude to select what we should eat and what wine and everything. And it just did all of that. So it's pretty cool.
I find it interesting that outsourcing thought at times, like in simplified solutions where it's like picking what to eat, is actually like somewhat nice to be able to not have to make the decision.
Yes, especially when you have so many options nowadays.
Yeah, right. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So are you is it building your strategy at ZEDEDA?
It's helping for sure. I mean, I do ask it from time to time, like, hey, here's where we are today. Here's what we're thinking. What are the potential risks? What are we not seeing? And it gave us some interesting inputs to think about, discuss. So it is really truly like a little coworker that you can bring along and ask for information. It's really assistance. Yeah.
And just because I'm a huge advocate of this, so I got to ask one more. So how do you pressure test it?
So every time I like the bigger ideas. Like, can I build a whole piece of software with this thing? Can it generate an entire board deck for me? So I try to give it big tasks that, I know I would spend a lot of time doing it on my own without it. And then I just try to see how it gets there and then guide it a little bit and see where it converges. And again, I really seen a rapid improvement of the output versus a little bit before, only 3-4 months ago, frankly. So we're definitely in a accelerated time right now in the AI era.
What's the one thing that you've done with AI where you're like, that was awesome?
A couple of things. One of them is I built a simpler version of our product using AI. So just seeing like how easy it would be. It's obviously not as feature rich and integrated as our current product, but the fact that you can do those things, I think, is a big sign also for us to think about like, how can we innovate on this and how can we be faster? Don't be complacent, I think, was the lesson learned there. I also used it to gather me information on pipeline and customers and all kind of things to help me understand, like, how's the business operating and where should I focus on? So those are two things that I think normally would have required more time, more process, more people, and it can do it a lot faster.
And did you do that by just basic prompting, or did you use an API to integrate with other tools? Or
basic prompting, obviously we use secure AI integrated with our workspace and everything else, but it was pretty basic, and that's why I think it's so powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is interesting. It levels up a lot of individuals that maybe aren't competent in certain areas. They're able to increase that competence very quickly.
So, as a product manager, you have a vision of how a product needs to look like. So when you can start using AI to build, quote unquote, a prototype of the product, even it may not be production ready yet, it may not something you want to ship to customers immediately, but the fact that you can make it real and then show it to other people and say, this is what I meant to describe to you, what my product should look like, that helps so much, even for others. Like, oh, this is what you want. Now I understand what you want, versus it wasn't totally clear because, you only a part of the
you explain the way your brain understands.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes it's difficult. Yeah, exactly. I use it a lot to be able to just like bounce an idea to say, here's what I'm thinking, and can you help me explain in a different way so the team understands?
Yeah. So imagine all of that being available anywhere, in a machine, in a car wash, in a factory, and then imagine how that could, impact the world in what I believe a very positive way. So very excited about the future.
100%. Same. In a technology world, where it's all around us, it's everywhere. We know that. And AI, it's going to continually get bigger and bigger. How do you personally unplug?
Well, it's a good point. I think it's important to not forget about things like family. I think it's important not to forget things about health. So take care of the health, which is so important. And to your point, I think it's important to do things that don't require AI or computer. Go take a nice hike somewhere where there's no cell phone reception, reconnect back to the physical earth and the nature. I think it's important to balance your life. Like, as they say, you need to work hard. You can also party hard, but I think you also need to take, a lot of care of yourself in a hard way as well.
All right. Then what's one thing that you've done recently where you're like, I'm really glad I did that. I got away from the tech.
Well, I love hiking. I love going, working out, and I love cooking. And there's no cooking robots yet. So the fact that you can kind of make your own meal and prepare it and have other people enjoy it, that still is a great way. And there's not a lot of computers related to that, especially if you like to experiment and just try different things on your own.
That's cool. What's funny is actually when I cook, because I'm not great at cooking, I use ChatGPT or Claude to be able to say, how can I make a recipe these are all my ingredients, make something up. And
yes,
sometimes I've been pretty impressed actually with the outcomes.
Well, the other thing is just keep trying and finding an audience that will keep giving you, product feedback.
Yeah, that's right. Said, thanks so much for spending time with us. I know you got a busy day, so really appreciate you.
Very great to be here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening to the Edge Tech Podcast. Again, I'm David Kozlowski. See you soon.